Hugh Glass was a sailing man. He held the rank of captain till he had a run-in with some pirates off the island of Galveston. He was captured by Jean Lafitte round the year of 16. It was walk the plank to your death or join up with the team. So he pillaged with the pirates till he couldn't stand it any more. Then Hugh and his friend slipped over the side and made the long swim to the shore. Hugh and his comrade wandered around the southern plains till they were captured by the Pawnees, and his buddy went up in flames. But old Hugh's star was lucky. He was adopted into the tribe, and he became a warrior and fought with the Pawnees side by side. He learned about the Indian life and how to live off the land. His courage and honor stood him well within this Pawnee band. Yeah, and old Hugh Glass was an ornery ass with a hearty will to survive. As long as he could draw a breath, he'd fight to stay alive. He was rough and tough and full of piss. He never struck it rich. He was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch. Well, after a few years with the Pawnee, Hugh fell in with the white man trader and made his way back to St. Louis, but the wilds he did prefer. So he signed on with General Ashley to ascend the Missouri. He took a bullet in the leg in a battle with the Ree. And to a youngster by the name of Jim, he became a hero when Hugh pulled Jim from certain death to the safety of a Piro. Hugh was trapping with Major Henry's brigade. He was out hunting food when he stumbled upon a silvertip, disturbing its solitude. When the grizzly raised up in attack, Hugh got off a round, but that old Ephraim laid him open before he hit the ground. The other trappers rode to his rescue when they heard his cry, but Hugh was so bloody and torn they were sure he was going to die. Yeah, but old Hugh Glass was an ornery ass with a hearty will to survive. As long as he could draw a breath, he'd fight to stay alive. He was rough and tough and full of piss. He never struck it rich. He was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch. When Henry asked for volunteers, Jim and old Fitzgerald said they'd stay and tend to Hugh till he cashed in while the brigade went on its way. But old Hugh wouldn't oblige by dying, though he seemed to get worse each day. So finally one morning they up and left him, took his rifle and plunder away. But old Hugh Glass was an ornery cuss, and revenge burned in his mind. He swore that he had killed the two bastards that had left him in such a bind. So he started off a-crawling, with nothing but his rags and a razor, eating grubs and bugs and anything he could find, and sleeping without shelter. Day after brutal day he crawled while his body healed, till one day he could finally walk and began to stalk his next meal. Well, after 40 days and 300 miles, he was found by the Sioux, who cleaned his wounds and bound him up and took him down to Fort Brazil. Yeah, and old Hugh Glass was an ornery ass with a hearty will to survive. As long as he could draw a breath, he'd fight to stay alive. He was rough and tough and full of piss. He never struck it rich. He was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch. Well, old Hugh Glass had vengeance in his heart and on his mind, and there was no way he was going to rest as long as the sun did shine. So just as soon as he was resupplied, Hugh left on his pursuit of the two lousy bastards that had left him so destitute. Through all kinds of weather, he searched that wasted land. Come hell or high water, he was bound to get his man. Well, it was up at the new Fort Henry, near the forks of the Horn, that Hugh finally caught up with one of the men he scorned. It was the youngster Jim Bridger that Hugh ran into first, but when they came face to face, he could not quench his thirst. He said, "Just to take your life, I dragged myself across the prairie, but I see that you've repented. I forgive you, you are free." Yeah, and old Hugh Glass was an ornery ass with a hearty will to survive. As long as he could draw a breath, he'd fight to stay alive. He was rough and tough and full of piss. He never struck it rich. He was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch. But old Hugh didn't stop, for there was another yet to be barreled, the one who had taken his rifle, that bastard John Fitzgerald. So he floated down the Platte River, down to Fort Atkinson. He was bound to take the life of the man who had stole his gun. But Captain Riley wouldn't consent to Glass killing his Private John, but Hugh got his rifle back and was content to travel on. Well, you know, there haven't been many men that have cheated death as much as Hugh, but death knows how to abide time. He lies in wait for you. One cold and windy morning, Hugh and a couple of boys went out for beaver. They were ambushed by the Arackaree, and all three trappers went under. Yeah, and old Hugh Glass was an ornery ass with a hearty will to survive. As long as he could draw a breath, he'd fight to stay alive. He was rough and tough and full of piss. He never struck it rich. He was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch. Yeah, he was a pirate, Pawnee, and mountain man. He was one tough son of a bitch.